Hey, welcome back to Simply Social Work for today's video. My name is Brianna. Welcome if you're new. This is the channel where I talk about all things involving mental health and social work, from the history of social work to how to get the most out of your therapy sessions to reviewing mental health depictions in books, movies, and video games. This video was supposed to be in the first week of January, so what I had wanted to do was make a video on how to stay motivated for your goals. January is the time of resolutions, goal setting, and the idea of new year, new me. But COVID had other plans, okay? So here in Ontario, we got locked down for I don't know how many times this is. So I didn't have access to my office or my filming equipment because it was in my office. But I decided that this video still needed to be made because I think that it kind of proves the point that I was going to make in that video. Resolutions all sound great in theory, but how many times have we found ourselves fired up at the beginning of the year only to fall off the wagon in a few weeks, or like this, be thwarted by circumstances that we really have very little control over? So obviously, I have. If you've struggled with goals and motivation in the past and want to tackle 2022 in a way that will actually set you up to succeed, this video is for you. If you're like me and life threw you a curveball, join me here in February with staying true to your goals. So today I'm going to be sharing some tips with you on how to stay motivated and ultimately achieve your goals. First, let's talk about some of the common pitfalls with New Year's resolutions. Most resolutions are really vague and usually involve ways to change something your self-esteem is struggling with. Diet, exercise, and saving financially are all some of the most common resolutions. And a lot of these vague goals are often not planned out either. For example, many people have a resolution to lose weight. How? I'll start going to the gym every day. It sounds great, but let's take a closer look. Has this person ever gone to the gym, period? Did they go at all the year before? When was the last time they did go? Was it consistent, and how often? Can they even afford a gym membership? What are their daily responsibilities like, and will there be difficulty securing time to even go? Usually these questions aren't explored at all. People are feeling motivated by the changing calendar and they ride that optimism. And it works short term, but very rarely does it work in the long run because it just isn't realistic. This is an example of a goal that may involve drastic change immediately to achieve. Most of us just aren't wired that way. It doesn't mean that you're lazy, lack self-discipline, or don't care about your goal, just that you aren't setting yourself up to succeed. So what can we do to stay motivated? First, it's important to make sure your goals are your goals. I've talked about this before over on my blog, but it's crucial that your goals are for you. If your goal is to fit a societal expectation or to match what your loved ones are doing, then it's going to be a lot harder to stay motivated as time goes on. Changing behaviors, developing new routines, or learning new skills is hard work. It takes time, energy, and commitment. There's going to be times when you'd rather stay in bed, or eat something different, or let your new boundaries slide. These are the moments where you're going to need to turn to your motivation and remind yourself why you're doing this. So if your goal isn't yours, where is that going to come from? What's the point of doing all the tough work? What are you going to gain? Without clear intentions, you're more likely to lose sight of the drive that started you on this path back in January. So set yourself up to succeed and choose goals that reflect you. What is the benefit of this goal to you? Why are you choosing this goal? Your goals should fit with your beliefs, strengths, and lifestyle. When you're working towards a goal that you not only chose, but more importantly, that you believe in, you'll feel a lot better about the hard work. This in turn will keep you motivated and accountable. And I find that breaking goals down into categories or areas of my life can be a helpful way to get started. My goals personally are split into the broad categories of personal, professional, health and wellness, and financial. These help guide my reflection process and allow me to critically look at all areas of my life. These aren't the goals themselves, but they're a useful organization strategy that could be helpful to you if you're struggling to identify goals or areas for goals. So before we tackle how to begin structuring our goals themselves, let's all agree right now to stop using vague goals. I want to be healthier is a great idea, but what does that actually mean? I want to lose weight. Cool, how much? If the goal isn't healthy or weight loss, you can't actually ever achieve that because it isn't a SMART goal. SMART goals are important criteria for setting goals that will actually help you be successful. It stands for specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-based. So by September 2022, I want to lose 15 pounds would be an example of a SMART version of our previous goal of I want to lose weight. The two goals are essentially the same, but one gives a definition, 15 pounds, and a timeline, 9 months. Be sure to also have a clear reason for why you want to do this. As much as I'm a little cavalier about the non-SMART goal, losing weight or wanting to lose weight isn't inherently a bad thing, but it has to be, again, something that's meaningful to you and not just to society. There has to be a reason. It has to be meaningful and important. And this version of our goal is also possible and realistic, and from this concrete goal, you're able to create a plan of action. What lifestyle changes will you need to make? What is a possible barrier? And what will help you succeed? The SMART system turns your resolution into more than a goal. It turns them into an action plan. But if we just stuck to, I want to lose weight, there's no accountability or accomplishment. How much is enough? When are you expecting to see results? Chances are you'll feel defeated as time progresses because you're holding yourself to an unfulfilling standard. This is where we fall into the not enough narrative, and our well-meaning goals just turn into harmful expectations. So you've identified areas you want to make changes in and have created SMART goals for how you're going to achieve this. Now comes the hard part, putting in the work. Again, honesty is going to be crucial here. If you've had this goal before and it didn't pan out, that's okay. You can use that experience to inform your current plan. What did you struggle with last time? What kept you motivated? What didn't? Be sure to also look at your past successes. The key here is to understand what your strengths and weaknesses are, because you're going to need to plan out your goals accordingly. This is especially important if you're neurodiverse. So often the tips and tricks for motivation, time management, personal development are all based on the neurotypical brain, and that's great for neurotypical people. But if you aren't, it's so important that you make sure you're not trying to force your brain to work in a way that it doesn't. Make sure that the goals and strategies you intend to use are going to work for you and not for somebody else. And whether you're neurotypical or neurodiverse, our understanding of motivation also needs adjusting. There's this idea of drive and staying motivated, but the truth is that motivation often comes during or after you do something. This sounds counterintuitive, I know, so let me break it down. Dopamine is a neurotransmitter that regulates learning and motivation, among other functions. The long-held idea has been that in order to accomplish your goal, you need to stay motivated and driven. People who struggle to act in accordance with their goals are thought of as having a lack of drive or ambition. But here's the truth. We tend to feel good after initiating action. Dopamine often comes from the anticipation of something positive, which is why we are always striving for more. But there also needs to be actually achieving it, or the dopamine stops coming. If we don't associate something with feeling good, we're not going to feel good leading up to it, right? That doesn't make sense. So when first creating a goal, thinking about it may come with positive feelings and that burst of get up and go energy. But over time, merely thinking about something isn't necessarily going to be enough to compensate for a lack of physical or mental energy. This is where mind over mood comes into play, which is also, as a side note, the title of a really, really good CBT book. Highly recommend. When we do something positive, whether that be an activity we enjoy or something that gives us a sense of accomplishment, dopamine is activated and you start to feel good. When you feel good, you typically want to continue doing whatever it is that's making you feel that way. It's why bookworms spend hours reading, or runners get that runner's high. Not a runner, but so I've been told. So if feeling good comes after you start, it doesn't make sense that we're essentially waiting for the rush of dopamine or motivation. But through repetition, you will start to associate the thing, whatever action is connected to your goal, as something positive, but this process takes time. That is where the anticipatory dopamine will start to help you, and you'll start to feel that sense of motivation to do the thing. So it's why it's so important that your goal is your own and you have a clear and important reason for wanting them, because until that association between the thing and feeling good come together, you're going to need to tap into all of those hopes and reasons sometimes in order to start before you feel like starting. And it's going to take consistent practice and repetition for this to be effective. The more positive experiences you have working towards your goal, the easier it will be to stay motivated. As Nick Wignall says, anyone can feel highly motivated at any time, but highly motivated people build habits and routines into their lives that generate motivation consistency. The strategy here is to make working towards your goals and feeling positively once you do become a habit and routine that encourages you to continue. And finally, let's talk about perfection. Growing and developing as a person or a professional is a journey. It's going to have ups and it's going to have downs. It's going to have wins and it's going to have losses. That's the normal ebb and flow of life. Often one of the pitfalls that I see so often with New Year's resolutions, healthy habits, or goals in general is that people don't deal well with failure. This is especially true if you have an intense daily goal, and it's why they often aren't recommended. In today's culture, streaks are practically sacred. Many of us feel quite sad if we miss a day and lose a large streak on Snapchat or lose a kill streak in a video game. Look at the intense, overwhelmingly popular app Flappy Bird a few years back, where people became incredibly invested in how long you could keep a weird yellow bird from hitting a pipe. All of these things are arbitrary, but what happens? Usually we get sad or beat ourselves up. So close is something you often hear, and then we move on. There's a sense of there being no point in trying to start over or feeling like it's too late. We've already failed because that number is back to zero. And we see the same thing for goals, particularly with things like 30-day challenges or starting on January 1st. But here's the thing, you're human. And this isn't just about me telling you it's okay to make mistakes, although that's important and you will make mistakes, and you need to be compassionate with yourself when you don't succeed. But what I really mean here is that you need to listen to your mind, body, and spirit, and be gentle with yourself. You're also going to need to rest, to take breaks, to focus on connecting with others more than it's always being about your goals. Your goals are important, but if you need to prioritize other things sometimes, that's not just okay, it's normal. What I'm encouraging you to do is not to give up on yourself just because you missed a day or didn't start on the 1st of the month. You find a goal on the 15th? Start on the 15th. No, not the next day, right now, today. Meet yourself as you are now, with all of the strengths and challenges that come with it, and just try to focus on showing up for yourself each and every day. So I really hope you found this video interesting or got some motivation for your 2022 goals. Let me know in the comments what your SMART goals are for this year. I'd love to hear them. If you want to know more about goal setting, be sure to check out my blog and Instagram for more tips on setting realistic New Year's resolutions and then motivation and goals in general. Those links are all going to be in the description box. And honestly, writing and talking so much about goals and motivation has inspired me, so I think I'm going to do a little bonus video where I share some of my intentions for this upcoming year. So be sure to stay tuned for that and subscribe if you haven't already for more mental health and social work content. Take care, y'all. And be gentle with yourself. You'll also need rest, to take breaks, to focus on connecting with others more than it is always about going, wow.